Today, amidst us, we have a young, dynamic entrepreneur of the country, Shri Mukesh Haritash ji, who has a long experience of 24 years of transportation and logistics, operations, budget, management, long-term strategic planning, and all. If we talk about his a brief education, he is a graduate from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth, Delhi in 1998. Afterwards, he started giving his precious time in different divisions of the organization. He is working as a joint managing director of the company. During past 24 years, by his rigorous efforts, company has grown from 25 crores to 1,000 crores. He has been awarded as the Youth Entrepreneur of the Year 2010 by Mr. Harsh Goenka, CMD RPG Group. Today, we have a Google of logistics industry in front of us. On behalf of JK Business School, entire fraternity, we welcome you to address the students. Let's begin the session. Once the session is over, I would request all the students to come up with their queries, please. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thanks Mr. Shivkant Sharma ji and the JK Business School to giving the opportunity to give a brief presentation on the future logistics role in the supply chain and the logistics. I'll start with a small presentation. After this presentation, maybe you can take your questions. I will be taking your questions. So here I'm going to start with the presentation. Can you?
No, sir. I think you are clicking on your presenting button. Can you open your PPT?
Yeah. It's visible.
Minimize this browser. Yes, I can see now. Role of technology in supply chain management and logistics.
I'll be starting with some highlights, with the introduction and the highlights. Like I won't be going deep into it because you may all aware about the supply chain management, but I will be giving few highlights. The global logistics industry is at USD 4.5 trillion dollars. In India, the industry size is at USD 240 billions. It contributes the 14% of GDP cost, which is on much higher side compared to the global cost. It is half in the globally. India has taken many initiatives by use of technology, by improvement in the infrastructure, and other various measurements government has taken to reduce this 14% to 10%, then so on. It is growing at the 7% for the last 5 years, and it is expected to go around 7 to 9%, barring this year, which is disturbed due to the COVID-19, and hope it should improve and grow at the same pace, which is expected. It gives 22 million direct employment, and it is going to create 3 million new jobs by 2022. And if you talk about the indirect employment, it is 7 times of the beta. That means 22 millions into 7. You can calculate so many people are indirectly get the employment through this. I'll talk about the numbers. There are 1.5 million small and big commercial vehicles at present running in the country, which are the smaller vehicles which are being used for the last mile transportation. Some of the vehicles which are running only for the within the straits, less than 500 kilometers or lesser than that. And there would be around 10% of the fleet which is running for the long haul, like they are having the national permits. 63% of the total logistics is moved on the road. If you look at the pie chart, the numbers, 35% of the vehicle owned by the small operators in India. If you compare with the globally, there are more than 50% fleet is controlled by the big organizations, whereas in India it's only 15%, and they own less than 6 trucks. So that means all the trucks are normally run by the owners or their son or their brother, etc. In 2018, so this year we are yet to get the Global Performance Logistics Index, India ranked 44th position in terms of performance. There were various parameters. If you look at, we have not gone up, up means we have not improved our performance in the logistics in the last 2 years, 16 to 18. In 16, we were at very good numbers. We were there at 34th position, whereas now we are at 44th position. So we have declined in terms of performance. There could be some various reason for that. So I won't be going deep into it. Further, if you look at the overall supply chain, like how the technology is evolving and the new software and new solutions which are being developed by the software companies, keeping in the mind the requirement for it. The artificial intelligence and Internet of Things brought almost close to 15% efficiency in the overall supply chain cost. We move around 1,000 commodities. That means there's a huge, humongous work to do through the supply chain to move these commodities to the end user. SCM transformation with technology. So they have divided into 3 life cycles: pre-2000, then post-2000, and post-2020. If you look at pre-2000, it was labor-intensive. The complete whole supply chain was very much labor-intensive. The planning was very poor, since there was no visibility of the information. Right information was not available. The availability of raw material was not there. The pricings for the commodities was not transparently available. The inventory was managed manually in transit at the warehouses, the material which was on the move, and the inventory which was lying at the manufacturing stores. So due to manual inventory, there was always mismatch in the inventory, and it was a major hurdle in the manufacturing process. There was a lot of break in the manufacturing process because of the shortage of the parts, and whatever it was committed by the production houses was never delivered because of lack of visibility. It also delayed in decision making at the top level in terms of procurement till the finished goods which they have to produce. So this is what the pre-2000 scenario. In 80s, the market begins with a sea change in logistics in the history of supply chain management. This happened because of the emergence of personal computer in the early 1980s. It has opened up the various possibilities, provided tremendous better computer access to planners, and a new graphical environment for planning in the supply chain. But at the same time, it was recognized as very expensive, being very expensive, though important, but very complex. So many companies, they could not took the advantage of this computerization in those days. But by the time we reach in 1990s, the logistics boom was fueled, and many companies they emerged and started giving the solutions by developing enterprises resource planning softwares, ERPs, for the whole supply chain management. But the problem was, it was not so simple, though many companies they are providing the small solutions for the ERP and initially, and it was very difficult to integrate the multiple database that existing in almost all the companies resulted in catastrophic failure as a result of not being able to handle the integration part and the results what they expected. However, it gave the great benefit to the planner in supply chain in terms of planning, visibility, efficiency, and better control in data availability and accuracy in complete supply chain planning and integration. Involved other logistics components to some extent. That means technology was developed, but it was in a scattered way. And since you have large, small companies who are offering the solutions, IT solutions in the supply chain, were developed keeping in the mind the individual company's requirement, not as an overall supply chain management. So it was very tough situation, and the reason the almost majority of the softwares were not used at all. So company had to rethink the whole designing of the ERPs from the scratch. We talk about the post 2000 era. In 2000, IT and software development develops in big way, and many big IT companies came forward to offer the complete supply chain management softwares, the ERP solutions for the SCM, like SAP, Infosys, TCS, Oracles, and many other companies to provide the solutions, ERP solutions to the medium and small scale industry also. This was a time when revolution happened in the IT. All the softwares which were developed in keeping in mind the broader perspective, keeping in the mind the complete whole supply chain problems. They were the safeties created by the companies, and the top executive have taken the personal interest to develop these ERP solutions so that they can control the supply chain in better way, and can fetch the advantage and benefit. It has the supply chain solutions became more customer centric, and they were having a leverage with integration of the other small new technology like RFID, barcoding, EDI, and digitalization of data. Some of them, like ERP, came into the existence. Then people have put more focus in WMS because it was a small part in the ERPs when they developed, because company they have developed keeping their manufacturing supply chain in their mind. Then the need arise, okay, because whatever they're procuring from the different part of the country and the overseas also, since the core for the manufacturing is the manufacturing of goods, not to have the big warehouses and stores within the plant. So the WMS developed during this time with all the latest technology like RFID, barcoding is being implemented to have the better control and the accuracy of the data, which is most important in the complete SCM. Then the EDI, the electric data, through electronics mode, it has started, transmission of the same has started, and thus it has information became more and more transparent. Further, with the technology in many companies, they came up with the solution of e-bidding for the indirect material, the material which is not directly used for the production, but the non-production item, to bring the cost down of those items. So if you look at after this ERP implementation, there was a complete advantage at every stage, from procurement of the raw material, warehousing cost, further you go down, the logistics inbound and outbound cost, manufacturing cost, and the further distribution cost. So these were the advantage. Like for example, again I repeat it, that it helps SCM to bring the transparency and efficiency at all the levels, better planning, reduction in procurement and inventory cost, development cost, manufacturing cost, transportation and communication cost for the employees, and otherwise also better lead time, reduction in inbound and outbound logistics cost, customer level forecasting. That means what the customer is needed, that also you have the advanced information so that you can produce accordingly. Cost advantage in warehouse management cost, that includes the labor cost, handling cost, the overall inventory cost, performance measures and workflow management, etc. These were the tools which were developed during this time. I move forward the post 2020, which I'll be elaborating more in my next slide. The future lies like it will be a paperless, a complete supply chain. The whole flow will be paperless. There won't be any documents will be shared. Everything will be done automatically by the algorithms which we have put into the artificial intelligence. All auto planning will happen. It will be faceless, whole supply chain. That means procurement till the distribution. will happen automatic, the planning. So there won't be any human intervention in between until unless the exceptions are there. It will be a cashless. You need not to send the checks to the companies. The auto transfer will happen. The moment each step, the material is being, the service or the goods are being delivered, the auto payment will start at all these levels. Even the payments to the drivers, to the warehouse laborers, etc., will also happen automatically. It will be virtual. For example, you may not be required very big offices to work with, especially in the logistics field I talk about. It is changing very fast. All this booking from end to end is happening virtually without any human interface. All the documentation, the payment to the drivers, the balance payment to the drivers, the payment to the petrol pumps, everything is happening automated. Okay. So the concept of from big offices to the small will happen. It will be at every level except manufacturing. Maybe for the distribution also, you may not see in future the big dealerships which are there today present to sell the goods. The classical example is I can put as a MG Motors. If I look at the old companies, Maruti and all, you will find the big showrooms, maybe around 200 or 300 square feet of the front fascia. Okay, where you display the products. And you look at the example of MG Motors, where they have come up with the solution of the van kind of showroom also, which are movable, and you can send those moving dealerships in the rural area, and from there you can have a couple of cars parked inside and can be delivered. So all these new technologies will happen. Then most important thing which is there, it is a blockchain, because of course the data, more the data is there, more the use of internet, the more the risk of cyber thefts. So just to counter this, all the companies, they have started working on the blockchain, where the data is encrypted and it is not visible to the people who are not the stakeholder, or they are not the concern about the data. So these are the things which are going to happen in the market. The key takeaways, maybe, okay, I'll talk further, then I'll be giving it to key takeaways. This is a small diagram, it's kind of is giving an overall look of the supply chain, which is technology driven. For example, if you look at here, the forecasting. Now, before any, in any manufacturing unit or production house, forecasting is very important. Because if you don't have the forecasting, which are having many components, we'll start with prices. Okay, raw material procurement. If you are not able to know that how much material your suppliers are willing to give you for the production or meet the requirement by you, you won't be able to produce the goods as per the demand. So you have the projections from them. They can supply the items as per requirement. The pricing is available from the different sources through which you can plan, control the pricing. For example, you can do the advance buying, you can defer your buying for some time. So all those decisions you can take to procure the best and cheapest product for your production. Weather also, now people talk about the weather conditions, how the weather conditions would be after 2 months time, 3 months time, how it can bring the disruption. So all these things also they consider while, when you do the planning in the supply chain. They talk about the products, what product is being sold more in the market and what product is being more required in the market. All that information is also available in advance from the sales team. to the production and planning team, which helps them. Same, the promotions and events, like in some countries during the festival season, there are a lot of promotions happening, a lot of events are being organized. So you know that this time you have more sale of the products, so you can have the flexibility to make less in the low demanding months and to produce more at the when the demand goes more. For India, for example, it's a Diwali festival season. You go to Europe and other countries, US, it's Diwali, December time, the Christmas time. In China, you go, it's maybe January, February, then they have the New Year. So it's all depend on the country to country. So for any manufacturing unit, again I say, in supply chain, the forecasting is very important. Based on that, you plan your all the buyings, purchases, you release your orders, and then the things starts. Even you have to plan the logistics, whether you need the material fast or you can wait for the material, you have much inventory for that, which helps you to control the logistics cost. Then it goes to the warehousing, WMS. WMS, you have the visibility for the inventory lying. Based on that, you plan your production. And after planning your production, again, the secondary transportation, which is outbound transportation, distribution starts. So you can plan in advance. You can place the order in advance to the logistics partners to distribute the material in the cheapest and the fastest way to meet the customers' orders. So if you look at, without this all new technology, this would not had happened. For example, if you look at, I'll give you some example of like e-commerce companies like Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and many other small companies. They are totally technology-based companies. Okay, though there are many people who are working at the back end, but front phase is the technology. You never expected, okay, I never expected that, okay, I'll get my stuff within 2 days' time, whereas earlier I had to plan on the weekends to go to the market and procure the goods, which I can get now sitting at my home. I order today. If I need an urgent basis, I pay a little more premium for the logistics. I get it by next day or maybe the same day also. Or else if I can wait for 3-4 days, then I'll get in the normal delivery charges. Okay, maybe free of cost or maybe some nominal charges that they charge for that. Similarly, in shared mobility, this Ola and Uber has played a vital role to bring the revolution. I remember those days when there was a Lal and Kali taxi walas. Sadaj is sitting at the nukkad of each society and the colonies, and whenever you have to go to any station or airport for pickup and drop, you have to tell them in advance, you have to pay them in advance, and the price was maybe 5 times more what we are paying today. I'm talking about 20 years back, 25 years back, or maybe 10 years back also. So now you have taxis are available just a click away at very reasonable price. So if you look at, there is an advantage. The people, they have more access to the transportation. They need not to depend on the drivers or maybe some family member to pick them up or maybe to drop them up. This all happened due to the technology. Okay. Further, I'll give you the example of a classical example that in whole manufacturing unit in one of the auto industry, if I talk about, I was talking to Mahindra & Mahindra I remember in 1995 or 96 somewhere, there was a gentleman who was the head of the supply chain that time. He shared an example. He said in 70s and 80s, there was a team formed by the companies to get the material from the transport companies, and they were the vehicles provided to them to collect the material. They were getting the information maybe in a week's time that this much material has been dispatched, and they were not knowing when the material will come. So, based on the availability of the material, whatever material they have received, they used to plan. It used to take another one day time to plan that what we'll make after 2 days, or after 3 days, or after 5 days. So the planning was so poor. In 90s, the things started changing, and instead of going them, they asked the logistics companies to bring the material, to go and collect the material from the suppliers, and start sharing the information through the mail and all. So I'm talking how the technology, brought the efficiency into the system. Now we talk, everything is online, and you have all the information available just a click away. I'll talk about my organization. We started the computerization in 1987 when there was a Fox Pro, which was developed by one of the gentlemen. I still remember his name. His name was Sanjeev. He developed a very small software for the Coca-Cola company. Through some my known person, he referred me that this is the guy who can do some automation for your financial accountings, and through which you can print the balance sheet, make the balance sheet. So in 1989 or somewhere, he developed a small package for our organization, through which we could save thousands of manual work hours, and the things used to get it done in few hours. Okay. So then in talk about 90s, we infused a lot of money into the IT, though it was very challenging. Very few people had the access because not everyone could afford to provide the systems to everyone. By 2000, 2002 and 3, we also faced the same challenge that the software which was developed, it was developed keeping in the problems faced time to time. And by the end of the day, we were running a software, but it was never integrated with any of the solutions. So we had to spend another good handsome amount of money to get the ERP developed for our own organization. We were the first few logistics companies in India who have started usage of GPS, though it came into existence very late. But we did a pilot project with one of our customers in 2004 and 5 when 50 vehicles were fitted with the GPS. And it was not very successful because there were many challenges, and around 70% or 80% of the machine at times were not, working. So there were various reasons, like mobile network was not so robust what is today. So in between it used to hang. The chips was not made keeping in the mind the Indian conditions, dust, cool, hot climate, cold climate, and all this. So these were the challenges we faced. But in 2010 and 11, some foreign companies came with the robust designs, better machines, and thus it's become a part of the logistics now. So if you go to any company, it goes without saying the vehicle will have a GPS fitted into it. So nobody tells you GPS hai kya? No. It is expected that all the vehicles which have been placed are fitted with the GPS. Further, if you look at today, we control each and every part from the day it has been booked and the day it is being delivered to the customer. We have the complete information available a click away. Not with us, it's with the customer, it is with the supplier who has supplied the goods, and we have gone into the minute basis. It shows a click away on the dashboard, the age-wise, the value-wise, the goods inventory lying in the warehouse, which helps both at the supplier and the manufacturer end to utilize the inventory to control, better control on the inventory. This is a company called Maven, is being launched by us 2 years back. It's a digital platform for the logistics. This is a humanless, paperless technology. It's a purely virtual. I'll talk about I'll compare with the normal traditional logistics cost, which is the overheads in the logistics is around 4 to 5%. It varies from the size of the organization. It could be 3 also. But here we have kept a target where we keep the overheads less than 0.5%. And we are able to manage 0.3. Initially, it was more than 1% when we started, but now it is around 0.3% only. I have given 3 examples here also. The first generation business model, it was through the phone call. All traditional transport companies were used to operate during that time. The shipper used to send the inquiry to the transporter. In terms, some of the transporters having their own trucks, and many of them, they are relying on the business associates or the small truckers. They were controlled through the broker, and these truckers used to be attached with the brokers. So there were multiple people involved between shipper and the trucker. And because of this, the cost of the logistics was very high, because there were a lot of intermediate who used to keep the profit in between. So we'll move to the second generation business model. This model was adopted by a few companies like Blackbuck, Delivery, Portigo, and some other new entrants, where they have developed a portal on which they open up they float the inquiry, and the truckers, they bid for the business. Whoever give the better price, after adding some profits, they provide the vehicle to the shipper. This is not a very successful model as of now. All these companies are burning their cash very badly. This Rivigo also is there into it, which is not through the bidding portal, but still they also one of the leading logistics first entrant into it. If you look at the delivery, I'll put an example. Just to get in business with the traditional and these digital companies, the delivery has a turnover. Last year, they clocked the turnover of 1,600 crores. It's a classical example of how the money is being burnt by these companies. And the loss was 1,700 plus crores rupees. So the loss was more than the revenues. That means they have done the business of collective business of the 3,300 crores, and they have underquoted the price by 50%, more than 50% or so. Thus, they were able to clock the 1,600 crore revenue and loss of 1,700 crores. So the business model is totally different. I don't say that this business model is not working, but what I'm trying to say is to establish into the country, they are undercutting the prices so that in future they can get the monopoly, or they can survive after killing the competition, which is not true also. In terms, if I tell you about with my experience, this is the third generation business model. this is kind of a transportation business only. There is an online app which is being developed. Again, I'm telling you, this is a paperless, cashless, human faceless. It's a virtual platform. We don't issue a single document to any shipper, to any customer. No. It is totally through the system. Auto bill generation, each and every step, the moment it's being delivered, it's being captured, bills will be generated. There is a time frame which we have allocated, and automatically the bill will be forwarded to the concerned person. We had a big resistance initially because the companies are having a habit of getting the documents in the shape of hard copies like GR, challans, etc. So through this, if you look at, there's a shipper who books his requirement online. There are truckers who are available here throughout the time. We have more than 10,000 truckers available on this platform. The moment the shipper gives the requirement, we have a tie-up with the truckers. They are not the free truckers. It's a B2B business model. They are with us only. And we have a contract with the shipper. We give the business to trucker, make all the necessary payments and a surety we take it. The guarantee is there that because he is coming through us only, and the transaction happens. So this is the another model which I talk about. This is happened just because of the IT. The next, what is in it is in resulted, the truckers UPS, they could get more earnings. If you look at here, there are many intermediators in between. Here it is again. There's a gray area because the transporters have to bid, so they are not rightly paid for their services. In this scenario, they are being paid. They have secured and timely payment, which is guaranteed by us. Guaranteed earning, we give them a guaranteed earning commitments, and the advantage and the benefits beyond that. The convenience, ease of doing the business through the web application, which is downloaded at the driver's level. They have the visibility of the business. They get the requirement like Ola and Uber, they get the requirements and they click it and they get it. Okay, the price is prefixed like Ola and Uber. Like Uber, you know how much you have to pay in the lean period or peak period, and in Ola also. Same way here, they knows how much they will be getting for the movement from A place to B place. It's a continuous business for them, because for up and down we have committed the business to them, through which we are able to get the business from the customers, because we have the vehicles available throughout the time. And this 3 to 4%, 5%, or maybe up to 10% of the cost which was being taken away by the intermediates has been passed on to the customers directly. So we have kept our cost, the profitability, only 5%, gross profitability I'm talking about, if compared to 10 to 15% in the traditional, and maybe less than 10% in the intermediate, the second generation companies, and with us it is only 5%. We are giving the additional advantage to the drivers, the insurance coverage we are giving to them. It's corporate insurance we have purchased for them. We have opened up a mall, auto mall for these drivers who are being associated with us. We are doing a bulk buying from the customers, though we have owned 2,500 trucks and trailers owned by the company. So we do buying for them. So what we have done in Automall, we procure the goods from the, sorry, not procure. We have finalized the rates from the these companies like tire companies, like petrol pumps, like insurance companies, like with the OEMs, and fetched a special price which we offer to the loyal and committed truckers at the reasonable price. So they are also getting benefit advantages. This all happens just because of the IT. Otherwise, this would have not been possible. I'll talk about the COVID-19 challenges in the supply chain, which no one expected. We used to heard from our grandfather and grandmother. There was a plague which was spread in 1950, 60. In 1915 and 20 also there was a pandemic which was spread during that time. So everything was closed. The whole village and village were vanished, you know. The haunted villages were there. The people have left the villages and gone to the different places just to save their life. Same, not the same, but to some extent, we are also, you know, feeling the same kind of environment now. No one would have thought that we have to sit at home and, you know, we won't be able to step out from our houses. And it is not, you can look at the Italy, Spain, whole Europe is also, you know, kneel down against this COVID-19. US also is in a big trouble. China, okay, they are the people who has given this pandemic to everyone, all the countries. So um, there are big challenges, especially in supply chain. Whole supply chain is collapsed during this COVID-19. I have attended many of the conferences with the secretary level, the special secretaries, the task force which is being formed by the PMO, to all those officials. Everyone is talking about the disruption in the supply chain. The material is not able to move from A place to B place. The ports are clogged. Railway yards are dumped. Material is reached at A, from A destination to B destination, not able to move. Trucks are stranded at the warehouses, no labor is available. Thousands and lakhs of the trucks are parked at the roadside, stranded with no man to whistle those trucks because the drivers, they have run away for not getting food, water, and basic amenities. So they also have isolated the truck and they went to their hometowns. Today, when we talk through the forums, FICCI, CII, material is ready, but no truck is available to move the truck. Many of the manufacturing units, they are not able to procure the raw material. Packaging material also is a problem. If though everything is available, but they are not able to move the goods. So, how the government has reacted to it? The government has taken an initiative. They formed a task force. And there was 11 teams which are being made by the PMO, have given the different streamlines or the areas to have the coordination between the states, between the stakeholders, manufacturers, and service providers to ensure the supply chain runs. First, the road transportation is not happening. It's happening only in small haul. If you look at, it's happening only 20%. And in long haul, it's happening less than 5%. There is if the supply chain doesn't run smoothly, the inventory of the pharmaceutical or pharma is 75 days on an average in the country, has come down to close to 15 days, and by end of the April it will come down to 30 days, which is not desired by any country. So the focus is more on the pharma sector. The government has issued this special pass for the drivers, and they have requested Indian Oil to open up 500 pumps to provide with the food facility. Toll taxis were suggested to start providing the foods to the drivers. All the local administration has been sounded to allow the drivers to move out from their hometowns to the place of the parking yards and the trucks which are being parked on the highways, at the dhabas or at the petrol pumps. Now the challenge remains same. The permission is being granted by the government. All the local bodies are being sounded to help them out to reach the destination. But how the logistics for those drivers will be provided? Again, the problem comes, without drivers, nothing moves. So which again the solution came that every district has got a police station, and National Highway authorities have their points. The OEMs has got their workshops. So state, they have tied with the state buses. The police stations vans have been asked to provide them the transportation to the nearest depot where the drivers can come in numbers and the bus can be started to drop them to the destination where they wanted to go. This is the great initiative, and it took almost 7 days time to convince each and everyone to ensure that driver reaches the trucks and whole supply chain can be benefited. So, second challenge is the essential foods. Till now, I don't find any major issue in getting the supplies for the essential goods. We thanks all these road heroes, highway heroes, we call them, all the drivers who are risking their life and serving the nation without fear of their life, like the doctor and nurses they are doing, and all the allied services which are being provided by these heroes, maybe highway heroes, or maybe the delivery boys, and maybe nurses and doctors, all these people, The supply chain, the railway has played a vital role for the movement of the same. Since everything was stuck because of non-availability of the drivers, the government has sounded the railways to start operating the trains for this shorter distance also. For example, Delhi Jaipur, Delhi Chandigarh, from Chandigarh Delhi, Punjab Ludhiana to Delhi, the vegetable needs to transport from Punjab areas. So it will come, the train will start with all vegetables and any produce which is produced by the state, bring down to the different states. And the local drivers, the small drivers who are the owners and all, since they are the owner and they are getting the opportunity and government is paying them the more price, the stringent pricing is happening. So they are giving them incentives. With that commitment and all, they are able to move the goods for the shorter destinations, and thus our supply chain in the food, essential food items are being reached to the common people. There are many suggestions which are being given to the government through our app also, through Maven. We are daily providing more than 200 trucks for the essential goods transportation. Since it's digital, the truckers, you need not to call each and every transport company. The number is being shared with the e-commerce companies who are into grocery and food items supplies. All the manufacturers are being forwarded this our platform, the app, and through which they are taking the advantage. And there is a need of the government has very forcefully instructed and suggested that these type of platforms should be developed to cater to the future need, so that at the time of crisis we don't stuck like this. So with all that, I think so I have not covered fully, but some of the critical items or maybe the components of the supply chain are being addressed, and hope would be of some information, useful information is being shared with you. With this, I just give you a small few points also I would like to add. Is in future, like robots which also play the important role in the supply chain, and for the WMS is also equally important, and will squeeze the human intervention in the warehouses also, because IoT got into many new technologies like sensors, robots, and all those things will be coming into it. SCM has already started moving to cloud-based solutions. So you need not to have a big IT team in your companies, which I think Mr. Vishnu may not be liking it. Though in my company also many of the people are not liking it when we decided to move the servers on the cloud-based companies. So, but it's a need of the time. I don't think so it will eliminate the complete requirement of the IT team. But of course, because you need the people to manage those cloud servers and the softwares which are running on the clouds. The way Amazon has disrupted the complete supply chain and logistics, people never imagined that material will come so fast, reach so fast, and so many items will be available, and the options will be available just a click away. Of course, we have to be more vigilant against the cybercrime. We have to ensure that our data is secured enough so that we don't get trapped or attacked by any cyber criminals, as last year it happened. Many of the lakhs and lakhs of these servers were crashed or hacked by the hackers, and you have to pay them the ransom. It is a bigger threat than the terrorism which was talked that time. So people have started using the blockchains. So in future, this artificial intelligence and IoT will play a vital role. With this, I finish my lecture, or maybe thank you very much once again, JK Peter School and Shivkamji and all the children to patiently listening to me. Thank you very much. Shivkant Sharma ji, you can take over from me now. It's over to you now. Yeah. Any question from any of the?
There must be, because they
Yes,
were
sir.
Yes,
they
sir.
were
Yes, sir.
continuously after, many of the students were continuously after my live. Can we ask the question, since he is the owner, big boss?
Yeah, they can. I can start taking it. How to get to the original screen? Can you help me out? Okay, stop presenting. Okay,
Click on is
it's done. Yeah.
Vishnu sir,
yes.
screen.
I think they can see now.
Wow.
Yeah, please ask your questions.
Guys, please start the questions. Meanwhile, we are arranging the camera.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Supratim Ghosh.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Sir, as we know that Chetak Logistics is one of the oldest company in India, and
Yeah.
we also know that by day, technology is evolving in the logistics industry. So
Yeah.
a question can arise that what type of adaptation is being taken by your company to hold the previous position strongly in the market? So that's my question, sir.
See, I just tell you, when we started the computerization of our organization,
Yes, sir.
there were not many companies available here. Okay, we
Yes, sir.
gave after a lot of search and all, which was we could not afford SAP and Oracle-based transport solutions because those were very expensive. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we after many discussion with many companies, we hired a company called Daffodils that time, and we started developing the software in 2003 again from the scratch. It was very tough call, very challenging. It took 3 years time, but we reached nowhere because of in between dispute happened between the partners and all. And lately, we decided to hire the complete whole team, and we had a team of around 30 people working in our company.
Okay.
And the ERP which we developed, it's an in-house developed ERP which we are using today. Initially, it was Oracle-based,
Okay.
and now it's we used many of the free software to reduce the cost, licensing hassles and all. Okay, I may not be knowing so technical. It's I'm not so sound. Okay, about this, but okay, of course, it took almost 3 years time again, because in Indian logistics is totally typical. Okay, every customer has got their own unique requirement.
Yes, sir.
It is not like globally where you have standards of services, SOPs are defined, and the process are defined, and based on that you start developing the software. Okay, in a broader way. Here, every customer needs a small or big. They have their own specific requirement. How the data should be provided to them. Okay, and you won't believe, whenever we share the data to them, there are more than 100 plus fields which we are offering them. It's all happened because of the experience in the industry.
Yes, sir.
The collective requirement which we got from different customers. So keeping all that problems with what we faced during the time, all put together, we have developed a software. And I proudly say, my software, maybe when you log into it, chetak.co.in, okay, I cannot give the access, okay, I could show you also. But if maybe I'll, some other time I'll show you. It's one of the best software what we have. And even Oracle team, the transport management solution team also had visited our office. And they were very keen to develop the software. But when we saw that was only 20% need requirement meeting for the Indian logistics kind of conditions. And they took almost 5 years time when they start developing the software for the Mahindra Logistics, which is a company owned by the Mahindras. And still they are developing it. It's almost 7 years. So we did a lot of investment, though it was not our forte, but we hired a team of 30, invested heavily in the software and hardware, and today we are working 100% online. It took almost 3 years time to implement it from the down the line. 1 year it took almost Delhi and such area, and then it took almost 2 years time to make the people habitual. Because in logistics, if you look at, it's not in the ground level, it's not very highly paid. The people who are into
Yes,
the
sir.
operations. Operation means the people who are working around the clock in the warehouses.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I don't know whether you are having an idea or not. Top
Yes,
line,
sir, I know
okay.
that.
Okay, so getting habitual with the technology was the biggest challenge we faced. And it took almost, as I said, 2 years time to make them habitual of using the technology. In spite of telling us again and again, they're working on the Excels instead of, updating the data. And they were having a fear that if it start working on the data, it will be giving, sending a wrong information. There were two aspects of it. First was they never wanted to willingly work on this software. And number two, they never wanted to get exposed also. So with the system, IT, we had a better control, better visibility, better transparency was maintained. And it was not us, it was the customer. When we shared this data with the customer online, the customer has forced our team to work on time, the feeding of documents immediately, online working, because any lapse which was happening, immediately they were highlighting to these superiors, okay, this material is lying.
Okay.
It was there. But the material is not reflecting in the system. So the customer helped us a lot in improving our database. And this is the challenge what we faced. And IT, as I told you, Oracle-based solution with some new technology. We have used it, and still we are, every day some new different kind of problem arise, and we have to get the solution. One thing is very important in the supply chain. Though we have the processes made, though we have the systems, but when contingencies comes, so you have to. There is no rule of, there is no rule, because you have to run the line. You have to run the supply chain. So you have to take the call based on the situation, based on conditions which are not known to you in advance.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Bhavani this side.
Yeah.
Thank
Who
you,
is the
sir.
next? Who is the next?
Good afternoon, sir. Bhavani this side.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to ask, did logistic industry facing any challenge? Because we all know that infrastructure is key for logistics. And India is not well developed with road and all. So how Chetak Logistics and other logistic industries is dealing with all this?
See, I tell you, there is humongous growth in the logistics field in India. Every company in the world wanted to come to India. This IoT things are very well accepted by the manufacturing industry, and it is just started coming into the India, though it's very expensive at its very initial stage. But of course, a couple of companies have implemented these robots and other equipments which are, robotically controlled. It's all depends on the customer's requirement. Okay, how the customer is willing to take the advantage of the technology, and how they are going to support you in the initial phases. Because until unless the big manufacturing units or this customer is not going to support you, no one will be initially spending so much, on the robots and all, other machine equipments, or for example, automation. So initially it will start with the airports, then it will start with the e-commerce warehouses, where the company themselves invest, and then they will share the know-how and the knowledge with the logistics service companies, and thus it will start. For example, we have come to the extent of barcoding or scanners. Sensors are being used recently for the warehouse management. We have come up to this level. I have been talking to one of the company which are into the robots. They call it robots, something they call it. It's a Noida-based company, and they're basically a US-based company. So we have given them a task to do the automation of my workshop, because we have got a dealership for Tata Motors. So it's a big dealership. It's of 100 bays. So we every time you have to come to pick the parts from the stores. Okay, so it's a very long distance. So we asked them to provide us a solution where we can they can develop a robot which the sensors will be put into it, and it anybody wants something, he can press the button, the tablet or robot will go there, he'll put a slip into it, he'll go to the workshop, and the workshop guy will take the punch the number. Okay, they will see who has given the request. So based on the request, he will put the material on the sequence wise. It will go and deliver it, just to have the control the manpower cost. But though in India manpower cost is very cheap, it's not so very expensive compared to the other countries, European countries. So ROI, which I feel it took long time, so we dropped it. So that's another reason, okay, whether ROI you are going to get it in the small operations. For example, in supply chain, many companies, they are using it, and their inventory, where in-house inventory which is lying there. From that point to online supplies, they are using the robots, and automation is being done. So it's a it will happen, but not immediately. In a couple of time, by 2025, the revolution will come, and you will see more and more, as I already mentioned, that robots will squeeze the WMS manpower requirement. Okay, overall. So this will happen.
But sir, जो भी लॉजिस्टिक को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए कई लॉजिस्टिक कंपनियां हैं, कोई आईटी पे इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, जैसे आपने भी एग्जांपल दिया, आप लोग क्लाउड के थ्रू अपना आईटी सेक्टर, अपना जो आईटी का डिपार्टमेंट है उसको बेटर करने की सोच रहे हैं. बट आउट ऑफ ऑल वी ऑल नो दैट बिना रोड्स के, बिना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लॉजिस्टिक इंडिया में सक्सेसफुल है ही नहीं.
देखिए, मैं I'll differ with you. We have good roads now compared to 10 years or 20 years back. Okay. Earlier, I remember the small trucks only could reach to the northeast and the Jammu and Kashmir and all. So now the reach is there. Road is available everywhere. Okay.
No, sir, road is available, but not up to that extent. No, sir.
See, I'll just tell you, if you look at from Delhi to Mumbai, okay, the new highway which will be coming up, it's okay. We leave it apart. Otherwise, also, it was only two lane, it's 4 lane, 6 lane. From Delhi, I traveled last year from Delhi to Mumbai by road. Okay. And there was 6 lane road from here till Ajmer. After Ajmer, it was 4 lane, which is converted into 6 lane. And once I reached Gujarat, from Gujarat till Mumbai, it was throughout, it was 6 lane only. So when you go on the highway, there was no smaller vehicles and all you can run, and the transit time has cut down from 3 days and maybe 4 days earlier. It has come down to 48 hours now only. And many companies in the express mode, the vehicle reaches within 24 hours from Mumbai to Delhi. And we are also providing the service from here to Bangalore and Chennai in 60 hours and 72 hours. It's very common now. So overall, if you look at the infrastructure has improved. Because of that, the transit time from 7 days, 5 years or 7 years back, it has come to 96 hours. 4 days or 3 days time is the normal time. From Delhi to Bangalore, 3 days is the normal transit time now.
Okay.
So things have changed. It's not. I'm not saying the infrastructure is not improving. It's improved a lot. But yes, if you compare with European and American condition, there is a long way to go.
But sir, you are talking about this highway. Actually, I'm reading an article just before 2 or 3 months back about this highway. तो उसमें न्यूज़पेपर में ये था कि वहां पर अभी भी कंप्लेंट करी हुई थी कि इस हाईवे पे अभी तक गवर्नमेंट जो है बहुत ज्यादा पैसा खर्च कर चुकी है, जो NH8 आप बता रहे हैं, जो कांडला पोर्ट जाता है सीधा। लेकिन स्टिल इसने अभी तक जो गवर्नमेंट ने जो स्पीड गवर्नमेंट को चाहती थी, वो अभी तक इस गवर्नमेंट ने वो स्पीड नहीं पकड़ी है इस हाईवे ने, जो जिस गवर्नमेंट से चाहती है कि ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो, बिकॉज दिस हाईवे इज मेन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इज डिपेंड ऑन दिस NH8 which is going direct to Kandla port.
Yes.
बट अभी तक वो स्पीड नहीं पकड़ पाया है ये हाईवे NH8 जो गवर्नमेंट चाहती है। और गवर्नमेंट ने खुद ने एक आर्टिकल में बोला था कि बहुत पैसा भी खर्च हो चुका है इसके ऊपर, बजट गवर्नमेंट का। नितिन, एज यू नो, पिछले गवर्नमेंट में नितिन गडकरी,
मैं आपको बोलता हूँ कि जो एवरेज स्पीड जो थी पर डे की, if you look at 10 to 15 years back, it was 30 years back, maybe 25 years back, it was, for example, 600 to 700 k, because why? There was no traffic on the roads, which reduced up to 350 kilometers also. Even today, if you look at, it's normally easily a truck is running in between 800 to 1000 kilometers per day. Minimum 700 to 800 kilometers it is running on an average vehicle which is running on this route. Okay, it is not the road which is not allowing to move. Okay, it's basically the drivers who are, because single driver cannot run 800 or 1000 kilometers. Okay, he needs some rest also. Whereas the truckers, where you have two drivers, it's easily going from here 24 hours non-stop. It is going. We are running a complete manufacturing. The Maruti has got a plant in Gujarat, in Bechraji, and it's a movement is every day, maybe around 80-100 vehicles are running from here, and which is running on very thin, just-in-time basis inventory. It is running, okay, because they are not keeping any inventory in house, so just for one shift or so. So it is happening. It's running from here with the 24 hours timeline, the target line, and I don't know what basis the news was printed in the paper. There are some hurdles because there are some parameters and some norms are there for the national highways, which whenever it is constructed, basically there should be a center verge. In between there should be a barrier, so that the person cannot cross from left to right, or any vehicles lose the balance and all. It should not roll out to the other side. Number one. Number two, side verges are not being developed by the national highways, though it's a part of the contract. Okay, but I don't know how it missed, which has been taken up with the ministry all the time again and again. And some of the highways in south which are being created now are created where the nobody can barge in from the sides, so which normally affects the speed. Any accident happens, it affects everybody. It's not the vehicle which got accident, met with an accident, but otherwise everybody is affected with that. So basically it's more of developing and designing of the highways. There was a guidelines, whenever there is a village comes, there should be a smooth passage given to the villagers to cross. There should be a overbridge given, okay, so that the villagers can cross under those bridges. But those were not given, I don't know, somehow it was deliberately or otherwise also, why it was being missed by the while issuing the tenders. So which is happening now. All these new highways which you see which are coming up have taken all these precautions so that the speed doesn't interrupt. Another point is this checking which government says, and though there's a barriers are being removed from the state entries, but still some the flying is there, like and route checking is happening even today. And there are, for example, I put example from Delhi to Chennai, there are 84 toll plazas which are coming up. So each toll plaza, on an average, if it's taking at the peak time 15 minutes to 20 minutes, so it is also, if you calculate 84 into 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or somewhere it could be 30 minutes also, you never know. So that much time also is being wasted. So there are many other issues, not only related with the infrastructure, which needs to be smoothened so that the desired speed is being attained by the companies. But you talk about the government data, they take the average of the country. They are not talking about some highway and all. There are various things. Like Gadkariji told when GST was removed, so he is told, okay, the efficiency is increased by 30-35%, and he has given the example of the national average of 215 kilometers, which was nowhere right. Okay, because already we were running at 400, 500 to 700 kilometers, depend on the kind of size of trucks and trailers you are moving. So it's not necessarily the data which is being given. It is maybe right or I am not going to. But this is what I wanted to say in your question.
And sir,
Bhavani,
I also have one more. Yes, sir.
Bhavani, no more questions. You have
Okay,
asked.
sir. Okay, sir.
Taken your
Sir, I have a question. Can I ask?
your
Yeah.
introduction, please.
Sir, this side, Mujibur Rahman.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, what are the skills expected from the logistics company when it comes in the terms of recruiting? I say MBA freshers, we are MBA freshers. So what are the skills that are expected by the supply chain and logistics companies from us?
This all
Wonderful.
depend on which area we have to hire the manpower. Okay, if for the warehouse and all, we always feel that you should have a basic knowledge of the software. First of all, software means the system. It should be minimum graduate. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So initially at the entrant level we are talking about. Okay, and if we have to go for the executive and beyond AM or manager, we should have some degree or diploma holding from one of the good institutes, because we have hired many of the manpower from the couple of business schools now. We have started in field of marketing, in field of warehouse management, whereas we have offered the warehouses to the all e-commerce companies and big manufacturing suppliers. So where we always prefer that somebody, if is a fresher, he should have some basic knowledge of supply chain. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Whereas we should understand, so we should not, spend time to prepare the better manpower. Within the very less time, we should understand the need of the customer, so again it starts, giving the services immediately. This is what we consider, and maybe if in case of higher positions, we have to look at the overall experience also. In the field of, if it's related to the warehouse management, in the warehouse, it's in the field of operations, we take into operations, it's marketing, we take into sales and marketing, or other various positions. So this is what we consider.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
And
Yoshita this side.
Yoshita.
Sir, so my question is, you spoke about Maven technology, which usually
Yeah.
connects shippers and truckers. So,
Yeah.
sir, what are the benefits will a logistic company will get from this?
See, I just told you, basically we floated this company keeping in the mind to cater only to the e-commerce and FMCG companies. Okay. Basically, there is a stringent requirement for these companies, and they want the service at very economical and cheap rates, and the service level they are very demanding. Okay. Just keeping that in mind, because as a traditional Chetak Logistics has got a very big manpower force and the high overheads. So this is a totally different business model which we are running in a Chetak Logistics Limited. Okay. Whereas we have own resources, own trucks, own manpower. This model we started keeping in the mind to keep the overheads very low, the cost very low, and eliminate the in-between mediators who takes the advantage in between. For example, if you talk about any mandi, for procurement of any stuff, vegetable or so, there are so many mediators in between. After coming of this supermart and all, they have started procuring directly from those trust or maybe those cooperative societies. So they have able to brought the cost down. Similarly, here also, we thought with the same idea that we attach these transporters who are paying the commissions to the brokers, and directly we'll fix a pricing from them, which would be cheaper than 5% from the market. And that 5%, because anybody who's offering those trucks to the customer, adding their own profits, because 4 to 5% is the rates for that company, and 4-5% minimum, if you look at, they will add their profits. So all put together, there is a 15% cost was there. So which we thought there is a gray area which we can reduce maybe to some extent. So with the idea we started, and we were able to reduce the cost between 8% to 10% for the customer, for the e-commerce companies, and they are benefited. We are benefited because we got the good business from them, and the truckers, the single owners are also got benefited, that they got the continuous business, and the payment there was very secure. Whereas when they were loading from the market was fluctuating every time. They had to wait. There was inefficiencies into the system, which was adding on into the cost. They were not able to run from. Sometimes they have to wait for weeks or so. So all those inefficiencies we wanted to remove from the system. With that idea, we started the Maven, and we are also making profits. As our overheads, as I told you, is less than with a target of 0.5%. So with that, we are able to. It's a win-win situation for us all. So that was the idea for launching the Maven, and that's how we are benefiting.
Sir, so do they use any type of tracking software in this app?
Yoshita,
So
we
they
are
give
falling short of time.
information about where the driver is right now and
Yes,
where
of course.
they
It
are.
is, as I told you, it's a similar kind of like Uber and Ola. They're using their platform. It's kind of a software which is developed with the. It took almost 2 years to develop this software, and we have launched this software after doing all the physical checking of the working of the software. And we have the big database. The moment the customer raises his request, it will be flashed to the truckers, which are mapped route-wise. If any trucker say, I want to go only from here to south, so he is put in the south pool. Any transporter, he says, I can go all over India, he is put in a pool where, the trucks are available for all India applying. So immediately, the moment the request comes, it will flash to the truckers who are there available in the system, and who are click the button first will get the business. So it is similar to the Ola and Uber technology based.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Very good afternoon. I am Muntajir Alam here.
Guys, we are falling short of time. We have taken his enough of. He has been the longest speaker till date. But since we have started this online model, so I'm personally thankful to Haritash ji. So this is the last question of the day. Last question of the day.
Okay, I'll put the
Hello, sir.
thank him after the question is answered.
Beta Puchiye, who was there on
Yes,
the
sir.
line?
Muntajir Alam, sir, here.
Yeah, tell Mantuji, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, tell us, sir, career growth in logistics and supply chain management.
As I told you, there is a huge growth and prospectus in the logistics field. You can go to any level, It's all depend how you want to keep your pace, with the growth. There is a huge potential, huge growth. Again, I'm saying it's a very huge area, very big area, and there is scope for maybe thousands of companies can come into it. You have to ensure you are bringing your products, you are keeping in the mind of the changing scenario. You are basically different from the others, coming up with new ideas, because logistics is not an old traditional transport business now. So with new ideas, new technologies, new out-of-the-box thinking is very much required just to meet the demand of the customers in whole supply chain. And that's what I wanted to say. You can go from one course to maybe 1,000 course, 5,000 course, 10,000 course. It all depend on what level you want to go. There are companies like DHL and all They are bigger than the Maruti and all. They are maybe around 50-60 billion USD turnover revenues they have. So there are many companies who has got $1 billion revenue, or $2 billion, or $7 billion, $10 billion. So they themselves, they are not only logistics. They are giants, basically. Available in, they are spread across the world. They are present in all the countries you name.
Okay, Shivkan.
All right, Manjeet.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir,
No,
sir.
thank you.
Hello, sir.
Let me thank him before you go off the line.
Hello, sir.
I am Professor
Hello.
Vikram Tyagi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I am Professor Vikram Tyagi. I teach logistics and supply chain management, and I've been hearing your lecture. Doing a wonderful job, and I admire the kind of technology innovation you have brought in supply chain, and the students have enjoyed it tremendously. And that's how your lecture has gone on for quite some time. And look forward to seeing you sometime once everything this lockdown is over. Look forward to seeing you personally. Shivkanji,
my pleasure.
Being such a noble, such a experienced and creative speaker to the students. Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you very much. So I'm just.
Hello, sir. Sir.
Pratham, I have another call which is coming, from the customer side, and he's called me a couple of times.
Okay, sir.
Another VC. So sorry, I won't be taking your question now.
Okay, sir.
And I'm just, going off the platform. Thank you very much.
Haritash, on behalf of JK Business School and our fraternity, our heartiest thanks. And as I emphatically mentioned, this is the longest session we had. Since we have started all.
Thanks, Mr. Kuber also, just to let me on your platform as a speaker. Thanks him also. Thank you very much all. Thanks. I really had a nice session with you all. Thank you very much.
Great
Thank you, sir.
credit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.